Now that the front's done, we're gonna do the front's kind of the hard one, because you know that's why you have to take all the stuff off. We're gonna do the back now, which should be a little bit easier, and especially since now we know about the split bushings and that we have to compress it with the straps because our spring compressor is upside down. It should go a little faster. The front one took us, what do you think that was? Hour and a half?
Thereabout, maybe.
Yeah, about an hour and a half. The back one, hopefully not so long. So we'll get right into it. What is it? What do they call it?
Engine control unit, or BMSKP, or whatever they're calling it.
Main computer. Days. We got to take that off or out or something, because it looks like all the wires are in the way.
We have to tilt the frame up.
We have to do what?
Tip the frame up to get the shock out of the swing arm.
Oh, that sounds like a lot of work. So we disconnected the computer from its housing and undid the hanger bolt for the muffler, because we're gonna have to tip this up to be able to get the shock out. We're gonna secure the front wheel so it holds the front of the bike down and doesn't allow the handlebar to turn, and that should do the trick. I don't know, this is already kind of ridiculous. So 2 bolts and the wiring is what you have to watch for. He must have used soft saddlebags on this thing. He's got a little alt-rider heat shield on it. What are you thinking now?
Well, they want us to heat the rear subframe bolts, the flock tighter or something.
Oh, we got to take the subframe bolts out? Wow, this is a lot more work than I thought.
Not really.
We're getting ready to tip the back of the bike up. That's more work than I thought it was going to be. That's a pretty handy thing I brought, isn't it?
It is.
And here all this time you thought I was useless.
Useless.
This is about as exciting as it gets, folks, heating up the subframe bolt. Oh, because it won't pivot if those aren't loose, and they have thread lock on them.
These loose, these come out.
I was just about to ask how you know when they're hot enough. That might be why they wanted us to take the heel protectors off, because they kind of get in the way.
Well, when it swings up, it might hit them.
We'll find out, won't we?
Hold that on the bolt, making sure not to melt the master cylinder reservoir or the heat. Hold down there. Comes right out. See what it's got.
Yeah, I've got that. What do they call that? Micro encapsulation. And do we have to put fresh thread lock on there?
Yes, or replace the bolts because they'll come from BMW with micro.
With the stuff in them, yeah. He'll pull them out while they're still hot. I don't pull them out while they're still hot. My fingers aren't as tough as his.
You just loosen the top now. Like, come around, heat this side up for me.
Sure. So how do you put new thread lock on the top ones if you don't take them out?
Well, you can take them out one at a time after you do the work.
Maybe even after you put the lower ones back in.
Yeah.
Because when it pivots, that part goes down, so they got to come out. Look at that.
You just take the top one out, loosen the bottom one, and it'll flop out of the way.
Okay.
I knew the last time I did this, I didn't take them all the way off. It's only one screw halfway, but at least it's one less screw you're going to drop on the floor.
That's right. Well, and this one holds in a bunch of stuff too. The master cylinder and all that. What are you trying to get out?
Well, they like to do it. They always connect the component side to the frame instead of the wiring harness side. So anytime you do something like this, you got to
Undo the whole thing.
unclip it.
Yeah.
For some reason. Well, you know the reason why.
Yes, because that's how they designed it. That's not usually what we say. We say something rude, but we're not going to say that on camera. I'm not sure that's going to be easy to get out through that. We may have to take that.
Yeah.
Oh, take the tray off.
Just that one bolt, I believe.
Probably do the trick.
And then we can slide that down there, right?
Yep. It has slidden.
Just the one wire on these. Okay.
All right. You get it where you want it, and what's the matter?
Somebody's got an aftermarket fender extender.
I have an aftermarket fender extender. Do we have to cut it off?
Yep.
Oh, bummer. I was just trying not to scrape up the frame. Now we can. There we go. Take a picture of this.
Okay.
All right, now the bolts come out, the upper and lower shock bolts. which just like the front, you can only get from, it go through the big tube.
And if we have to compress it with straps, we'll probably want to use 3.
Yeah.
Oh, there you go.
There it goes.
You know, they don't say anything about heating them, but
Might not be a bad idea to hit it with a little heat.
you got the electric components down there. So
No.
let's see if it'll.
There it goes. It's probably why they recommend replacing those bolts, isn't it? The magic magnet. Ooh, that's a beefy bolt.
Do not confuse those.
Long one goes in the bottom, short one goes in the top. And then, as they say, it just wiggles right out, right? We can always drop the tail out of the lift, and maybe if we take the other bolt out and that tray will come out.
That ought to do it.
You think? Almost, but not quite. The
Hold on.
bottom of the tray's in the way.
Got it?
Yeah. Almost. There we go. Now I got it. Ooh, that's a snug fit. Okay, now there's wires on the bottom.
Oh, that's what this one is. That was the second one. The one we disconnected the first time.
Yeah. So there's a wire at the top and a wire at the bottom.
Yep.
I worry a little bit when you grab a hammer.
It's supposed to just come right out.
Yeah, it's supposed to just slip right out once you take the bolt out. There it goes.
Here, wiggle against it. Wiggle against me.
Oh, sorry.
There.
Take it out that side.
Ta-da.
So there's the rear shock. And now we can compress this. Now that we know what we're doing and we know we have to use the straps, although this looks like a much more complicated setup than the front.
It's just the same, only different.
Only different. So we'll get that going.
Okay, you want
So now we get to use the spring compression tool.
to ta-da. I'll grab me my ratchet.
Try the 14.
Well, maybe it is 17.
Here's the 17.
It is 17.
So you are, in fact, sir, a liar.
Well, that's why I say I'm never wrong. The only time I'm wrong, I'm mistaken.
So is it important to compress evenly?
Yes.
So you do a few turns on one side and a few turns on the other?
Yep. And that's not for most likely won't damage the spring, but you'll definitely damage the spring compressor if you go too heavy on one side.
Yeah, and you don't have to buy the tool twice.
That's right.
I feel like that base could be better designed.
Well, I bought this tool over 2006 or 7. No, 2010. It certainly worked quite well
Yeah.
on every shock that was out at the time, or at least that I ever had occasion to use it for. Is that enough?
I would say yes, that is enough. And now you need to loosen it so we can get the other spring, the new spring, compressed
Correct.
far enough to put that collar back on.
And I've probably done 100 shocks or so,
Really?
so this tool definitely has
Paid for itself.
and proved its longevity. It's
Yeah. So this is a fairly standard upgrade that you do from time to time. Certainly on shocks that are either costly to rebuild or not rebuildable, replacing the spring with a new spring is better than having to replace the entire shock. Is that just in there with crust? All right. As we like to say, assembly is the reverse of disassembly. So we're going to use the exact same process with the spring compressor to put the new spring on the shock. And then once that's done, we'll put the shock back in the bike, put everything back together, torque everything properly by looking up the torque values. And then I will get to ride the bike. Be sure to subscribe, hit the like button, comment below, ask questions. We'll do our best to answer them as fast as possible. And you might even hear more from George when he says,
I'll say whatever I say.
there's Cujo, our shop dog. That's not his real name, that's just what I call him. Can you say hi, Cujo? Give me a bark. Woof. Oh, he looked at me. I don't speak dog. Yes, there, thank you with the tail wag. I appreciate that, buddy.